Hi again, I'm Jayson Jorgensen. It is time for Husker Chat, brought to you by Acres Equipment. As always, we're joined by Sean Callahan with HuskerOnline as we talk Husker football. Sean, 2 in a row for the Big Red. They went to New Jersey. I saw a great line. It's not pretty, but it's gritty, and they found a way to win at 14-13 against Rutgers. Certainly the type of win this program needed.
Yeah, I think Will Bolt said that gritty beats pretty. That was kind of the Nebraska baseball motto when they won the Big Ten a couple years back. But you're right. I mean, that game's not going to be re-aired on BTN probably anytime soon because there wasn't a lot to it. I mean, it was an ugly just battle between two teams that, quite frankly, had flaws on both sides of it. I mean, Rutgers fired their offensive coordinator after Nebraska won that game as Greg Schiano fired Sean Gleason as coordinator, and Nebraska really struggled on offense. Casey Thompson was pressured on 26 of 38 dropbacks. Anthony Grant only had 47 yards rushing. 45 of those yards came after contact, meaning there was nothing there. So the play up front was probably, the biggest thing Nebraska overcame. And to win the game with the way they played up front, that doesn't happen very often.
How about the offensive line? I think we knew there would be some struggles. Folks were hoping that it would be better. Are you surprised that they haven't shown a whole lot of improvement this year?
They've had some things happen, though. I mean, Teddy Prohaska out for the year now, and he was their best player. And Nuri Newelli was arguably their next best guy, and he got suspended right off the bat to start the season. So I think that put them in a hole already, losing those two guys. Kevin Williams just went down. But Bryce Benhart at right tackle, that hasn't obviously been there, and he got beat out, or they started playing Hunter Anthony over him, and Hunter Anthony hasn't been great either. Turner Corcoran had been playing left guard. They had to move him back to left tackle. I think we know he's probably not a left tackle, and he's playing left tackle at this point. So there's just a lot of things there that a couple of those injuries have caused them to have to do, and they've struggled, especially when it's an obvious passing situation. They just don't stand up.
Almost seems like anytime they go shotgun empty, good luck Casey Thompson, because you're going to have somebody in your face.
Yeah, just get rid of the football as fast as you can. And I think we all cringed on that 4th and 1 empty backfield set that they didn't get. I mean, shoot, maybe it would have been a touchdown if you complete that pass, but the way they had been blocking, I don't think we gave much confidence in that offensive line holding up there.
How about the defense? And I know they have not been taking on stellar offenses, but you really have to be impressed the changes that Bill Busch has made in a short amount of time. And yeah, there's still some warts out there, and they still miss some tackles, but they've been greatly improved the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no second half points the last 2 weeks, and the way they've manned up against the run, the way they forced 3 interceptions. They've done a lot of good things. I mean, you look at that game last week, Noah Vedral, when he came in early, had a great opening drive. That was their only touchdown. After that, they blocked a punt, Rutgers did, and Nebraska held them to a field goal in that situation. And then they had another drive where they held them to a field goal. So they did an outstanding job of just kind of locking in and limiting that game, because that game, Jayson, easily could have been 27-0, 24-0 in the first half. And Nebraska's defense was able to settle in and keep it at 13-0, which that allowed Nebraska's offense to say, we can do this. All we need is 2 touchdowns, and they were able to figure it out.
Today on Husker Chat, we're joined by Sean Callahan. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. So the Huskers have now won 2 in a row. Now on the road again at Purdue. The Boilermakers 4-2. They've been in a number of tight games. I think they've only had one game that hasn't been decided by 10 points or less. You surprised this spread is where it's at, Sean?
It's a little higher. I thought it'd maybe be closer to 8-9 points, and it's closer to 2 touchdowns. So it just tells you, I mean, Nebraska's been fortunate the last 2 weeks. Purdue's extremely battle tested. Purdue, when healthy, took Penn State down to the wire and maybe could have won that game. And Penn State's a top 10 team right now. So Purdue, when healthy, is a very good team, but they're not healthy right now. Aiden O'Connell, their quarterback, has battled through injuries, and he's close to full health. But Charlie Jones, their Iowa transfer receiver, he's been battling injury issues. Their top 2 running backs are out. So they've been able to kind of put it together to win games the last few weeks. They lost to Syracuse, but then they went on the road and won at Minnesota, which was a very impressive win, and a very impressive win as an underdog. They were road underdogs 2 weeks in a row, and they won at Minnesota and at Maryland. So that tells you a lot about their grit, that they're able to kind of keep things together, because they've played as difficult of a schedule as anybody in the conference.
When you start to break this one down and try to think about a way in which Nebraska could go in there and pull out the upset, what's the biggest key for you in this one?
They got to force Aiden O'Connell to make some turnovers. He's been turnover prone in his career at times, but when he's on, he's dead on. And we saw last year in Lincoln, unfortunately, he was dead on in Memorial Stadium, and they weren't deep throws, but he is just a pinpoint accuracy guy. He'll make those 4 to 8 yard throws. And they just marched up and down Nebraska last year. It wasn't like they had a lot of home runs, but they just hit a lot of solid singles, just 3 yards here, 5 yards there, 8 yards there. And they just were able to put that together to just kind of slice up Nebraska. And they really didn't have an answer. So they've got to come out with a better plan to get him off balanced.
Also sounds like this is a big game for Purdue, and might be kind of a tough, kind of a wild atmosphere there for the Huskers to walk into.
Yeah, it will be sold out. It's been sold out for months. Now, does that have to do with Nebraska fans buying some tickets up early too? Maybe. Because I do think we'll see a lot of Nebraska fans there too. We've always seen 7,000-8,000 Nebraska fans make their way in there too. And that's almost every road trip we go on, honestly, other than maybe Penn State. It's a little harder to get to that one. But usually when Nebraska goes on the road, they travel well. But it's a night game. It's parents' weekend at the University of Purdue. So there's going to be a lot of just extracurricular people in and around town, and hotel rooms are going for $600 a night or more in West Lafayette. It's going to be quite a scene this weekend out there for this game.
And I would think if Mickey Joseph can somehow get this one, boy, he'd have a ton of momentum and a lot of wind in his sails.
Yeah, if they were able to pull off this upset, all of a sudden you got a bye week for 2 straight weeks. This place can be feeling pretty good about themselves. Nebraska hasn't won 3 Big Ten games in a row since 2016. They won 2 in a row for the first time since 2018 in Scott Frost's first season when he beat Michigan State and Minnesota back-to-back weeks.
All right, we'll see how it unfolds on Saturday night. Sean, as always, we appreciate your time and insights.
Thanks, Jayson.
That was Sean Callahan of Husker Online joining us for Husker Chat. We're here every week. It's brought to you by Acres Equipment. I'm Jayson Jorgensen.